Throne and Liberty has been one of the hottest topics in the community over the past few weeks. If you've been paying attention, you've probably noticed your timeline filling up with videos saying things like, "The developers need to fix this immediately," or "Don't spend your resources yet." And honestly, there's a good reason for that. The Frozen Divide. Nix expansion launched on June 25th and has been described by the development team as the biggest expansion the game has ever received. But just a few days after launch, the publisher publicly acknowledged a number of issues that had left players frustrated. So, is this really the comeback Throne and Liberty needed? Or is it just a massive update with too many problems? Let's go through everything step by step and let you decide for yourself. First, let's talk about what the Nix expansion actually brings to the game, because in terms of pure content, I think it's a pretty impressive update. Nix is a completely new region where you can travel using the Aether Suit and explore through a route called the Auroral Path, making exploration feel much fresher compared to the older maps. Along with that comes a brand new weapon called the Gauntlets. It's designed as a hybrid between a tank and a DPS weapon, giving players another build option if they've grown tired of the existing weapon classes. The level cap has also been increased from 55 to 60, and there are two completely new co-op dungeons to take on, Frostbreath Cave and Stonegrave Cradle. But the thing I find most interesting isn't the new region or the new weapon. It's the complete overhaul of the gear and progression systems. Instead of the old enhancement system, the game has now shifted to an item-level progression system. This is where I want to slow down and take a closer look, because I think this is a philosophical change, rather than just a numerical adjustment. In a recent PD Talks video, the game's producer, Park Geon-su, explained that the goal of this update is to reduce the stress of upgrading gear. Instead, the game is moving toward a system where once you obtain an item, you can use it almost immediately. Character progression now revolves around item level, combined with traits and cores, instead of requiring players to work through a long chain of enhancement, transfer, and sync systems like before. Honestly, I like this direction. The old enhancement system caused quite a few players to quit because it felt too risky and too expensive, so simplifying progression in this way makes a lot of sense to me. When it comes to PvP, the biggest highlight of the Nix expansion is the new area called Remnants of Nix. It's a PvP zone that spans across the map and is designed around small-scale combat rather than the massive Zerg battles players were used to before. If you die in this area, you'll drop loot. There's also an extraction mechanic that lets you safely bring your loot back, which means you're constantly forced to decide whether to play it safe or take bigger risks for better rewards. Personally, I think this is a really interesting direction because it creates meaningful decisions throughout every encounter instead of simply relying on which side has more players. Looking ahead, the roadmap is also shaping up to be pretty exciting. Archboss Remux is scheduled to arrive on July 30th, becoming the first Archboss encounter where you'll fight alongside a dragon. That alone already sounds like an epic battle. Then, in August, we'll be getting Colossus Vegamore, a boss described as a massive mobile battlefield measuring around 200 meters in size. If you're someone who enjoys endgame content, these are definitely two major milestones worth looking forward to. But now I want to talk about what I think is the real reason this video is worth watching. The series of issues that surfaced immediately after the Nix expansion launched. The publisher released a report called the Resistance Report in July, openly acknowledging 4 major problems that the community has been facing. The first issue is that the amount of materials required to increase your character's power is simply too high compared to the current supply, making gear progression feel frustratingly slow. The second issue involves seal keys, an important resource that currently has too few free sources, leaving many players feeling pressured to spend money. The third issue is Abyssal Contract Tokens. Many players have accumulated a large number of these tokens, but there aren't enough meaningful ways to spend them in the new Nix region, making all that previous farming feel wasted. And finally, the fourth issue, which I personally think is the most frustrating, is the difficulty of the elite tier dungeons. This became an even bigger problem after the game removed the role selection system, making it much harder to form parties, especially for new players or those returning after taking a break from the game. So, what does the community think? If you've been following the forums and community discussions, you'll notice that the overall sentiment is fairly divided, but it currently leans more toward the negative side. There have been ongoing discussions about the player population appearing to decline, along with concerns that PvP still favors large-scale Zerg gameplay, that the content becomes repetitive over time, and that the game's monetization feels too close to pay-to-win. At the same time, there are also players who argue that those conclusions shouldn't be based solely on Steam numbers, since they don't include players on consoles or other platforms. Personally, I think it's important to look at the situation objectively instead of immediately concluding that the game is dying. Another common complaint is the class balance after the latest patch. Some players feel that classes such as healers and bow users have been nerfed too heavily, forcing them to constantly change their builds. Many also believe that the developers still haven't addressed the core balance issues in the right way. That said, these are opinions from the community, not officially confirmed facts, so I want to make that distinction clear and let you decide for yourself. One thing I really appreciate is how quickly the publisher responded. As soon as the wave of feedback came in, they released a detailed schedule outlining the upcoming fixes. On July 9th, the Elite Tier dungeons will be rebalanced to reduce their difficulty, and the character boost system will also receive additional rewards. Then, on July 16th, more free sources of seal keys will be added, and the Tumgear Hollow area will be adjusted to give players more effective ways to spend their Abyssal Contract Tokens. In addition, the Rise Before Ramux event began at the start of July, and one of its most valuable rewards is the Weapon Selection Chest, which lets players choose either a Queen Bellendir weapon or a Tevent weapon at item level 55. It's a very generous free reward, especially if you're looking to gear up quickly and catch up with everyone else. So, to wrap everything up, I think Nix is a very ambitious expansion, and in terms of content, it's absolutely worth checking out. The new item level system in particular makes gear progression feel much less stressful than it used to be. But with that ambition also comes some very real issues that anyone thinking about returning to the game should know about beforehand, from the shortage of upgrade materials and seal keys to the frustrating difficulty of the new dungeons. The good news is that the developers seem to be listening and responding fairly quickly, with a clear roadmap of fixes scheduled throughout July. If you're wondering whether now is a good time to come back to Throne and Liberty, I think it's definitely an interesting time to keep an eye on the game, because over the next few weeks, we'll find out whether these changes are enough to keep the community engaged. As for me, I'll keep playing through Nix and bring you more updates as soon as new information becomes available, especially when Ramux arrives later this month. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future updates on Throne and Liberty. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.